Welcome to Wealth Coffee Chats, folks, for your daily live updates. Get the most out of today's episode by participating in the chat. Make sure you ask some questions, be part of the conversation, have a bit of fun, grab a coffee or a tea, take some notes, and get ready to start your day, folks. Quick few housekeeping rules, though. No spamming, no advertising or self-promotion in the chat. That's not on. Be kind and respectful to everyone when participating. And most of all, have a good time. Real estate investing can be your biggest asset. It also can be your most expensive asset when it comes to getting it right or getting it wrong, folks. It can be time-consuming, stressful, and that's why here at Positive, we have what's called a 6-star team, a full-service team that provides integrated wealth and property investing solutions and services simply designed to help you progress towards your goal of passive income through your property portfolio, folks. Make sure you check out our other podcasts on the Positive Mentor Network. Not only is there Wealth Coffee Chats, there's the Urban Property Investor. Drops every Wednesday with straight talking investing strategies and lessons with Sam Saggers. Property Investor Tales. This is where our clients, you guys, share real life stories from property investing, hosted by some of our advisors and strategists. And that's done every fortnight, dropping every Monday. Wealth, Wine and Wisdom, folks, that debriefs the week that was in the world of finance and property, hosted by yours truly, Jason Whitton and Andy Fenton on Fridays.
Hey, good morning, folks.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat.
Hope you're well, folks, wherever you are.
There it is, team. Morning. Morning, wherever you're tuning in from today.
Early bird gets the worm, they say. Here at Positive, we offer a 6-star team. It's a team that help you at every stage of your wealth creation journey. Hello, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Wealth Coffee Chats. I see a few of the early birds are up and at it already, which is awesome. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining. You've got the dog in the background, barking and carrying on. If you didn't already know, Jason Whitton's my name. If you're new, fantastic to have you here. Welcome along. I've been away for a week or so down in Melbourne, but I know the team have been holding down the fort, so hopefully they've done a good job. The 6-star team, good morning and welcome, folks. For those who don't know what this is all about, Wealth Coffee Chats get together each morning around about 8:10. We try and get ourselves going with a coffee and have a conversation about the idea of creating some of our wealth, maybe all of our wealth, our income, passive income, and some of our wealth of the future from property investing. And pretty well any investing, to be honest. Let's face it, property investing is not exclusive when it comes to the ideas, the thinking behind it. Investing is a medium to long-term plan. If you're doing anything short-term, I would call that trading or running a business. So the idea is when it comes to building a property portfolio, we've got a couple of sayings around here: buy well, don't sell until it's time to do so strategically. There's a couple of reasons to sell. But in the first 15 years, let's just be honest. Let's be honest, folks. The idea is to buy good quality property, keep it, take care of it, look after it, and then benefit from it in the future. Good morning, Deanne. Good to see you. And Bunty, how are you today? Well, folks, thought we might talk a little bit about something today that happened of recent times, and it brings some things to mind when it comes to the idea of taking care of ourselves and our portfolios. Of recent times, unless you've been living under a rock, only a week or so ago there was a cyclone in southeast Queensland, or just off the coast of Brisbane and the Gold Coast, and a few people may have been affected when it come to their daily lives. But for those who might be property investors, or investors in general, but mostly to do with property, were you insured and what type of insurance, what type of things can make sure things get taken care of in times of distress, disaster, whatever it might be. So I thought I might talk about that today. I've got a little bit about what I call the insurance protection system here at Positive, and not necessarily all about insurance, but a protection system as a property investor. Because put it in the chat, folks. Play along if you're at home and you want to get involved. What are the things that we might be concerned about when it comes to owning property? Now, what are the things? What's the risk of owning property, and how might we need to protect that? Put that in the chat for me if you want to have a little play along in the chat today. But what are the risks? What are the risks that we have to navigate as investors, or the things that people worry about that might be a bit of a challenge or an issue or whatever it might be? So put that in the chat for me, and we'll see if we can navigate this morning. So the three risks, or the three things that we can do to minimize those risks in advance, because this is the thing with all investing, or all ideas of taking some risk. You've got to make sure that you organize minimizing that risk in advance as you go along. Right. What are the three risks? Number one, the number one thing that most people worry about is like, okay, the tenant problems. Okay, tenant problems as we go along. Now, that's fair. There's plenty of horror stories out there. I certainly haven't had, in all my years of owning investment properties, have I had a tenant issue? Well, not one that caused me too much grief. I've had a couple of people who not pay the rent and be behind and whatever, but that's just pretty normal. Tenant problems. What are the risks? Tenant problems. Damage, and things that pop up, right? So costs. Okay, so significant costs that we might need to navigate as we go through. Tenant problems, people not paying the rent, causing challenges or issues. The property being damaged either by, a cyclone, a flood, something breaking, popping up, whatever it might be. All right, as we go along, like what are those sorts of things? And the other one that I hear all the time is, you're wealthy now, you've got a property, you might get sued. Okay, now sued by the tenant because there's some risk there, or you might get sued by someone who wants to sue you for your money or something like that. Those are the three things that usually pop up, or versions of the things that pop up when I sit down with potential property investors, or those who are investing, and they're worried about some sort of risk as we go along. How can we navigate that? What can we do? We'll have a little look at that in just a second. Good to hear from you, Tim. Yeah, mate. I've seen a few of your photos there, mate. Sending your love and energy, mate. Hopefully you get well real soon, and hopefully the recovery goes along pretty nicely. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the bits that we want to navigate as investors. We want to make sure we can manage our risks. How can we do that? The three parts to this. How do you manage the risk when it comes to the challenges, issues we might have? Number one, play along if you want to in the chat. What is the number one thing that you've got to do when it comes to? It's probably two anyway. But anyway, to minimize the risk for your property as you go. Number one, you've got to get a great property manager. Okay. Number one, property manager. Folks, this is the thing about minimizing risk when it comes to owning real estate. If you don't have a good property manager, what does a good property manager do when it comes to minimize risk? Well, they number one, keep an eye on the property and know the ins and outs of that property. You, as the property investor, never visit that property, hardly ever visit that property, especially if it's interstate. Your property manager is the one that's going to be there all the time. They're there seeing the property, or your property management team. They're taking photos, they're doing reports for you. They're going to be doing a good job of taking care of those things, right? As you go along. Good property manager. They use the right tools to ensure choosing as best as possible a good tenant, right? So they do inspections. They do tenant selection, and they do sort of what's called ins and outs of a and then they go to tribunal for you, and they take care of all of these things. The property manager is a vital part of what's going on when it comes to staying safe and minimizing risk. All right, when it comes to this stuff. All right. Well, Tim's dead right. You absolutely need insurance. Now, insurance is vitally important, folks. Vitally important when it comes to these things, because if you don't have your insurance in place, well, that's a bit of a disaster, really. At the end of the day, something happens. What does insurance cover? It certainly covers loss of rent. Lost rent if someone doesn't pay. It covers damage. Sometimes it covers, broken white goods and stuff like that if it happens, and emergency stuff. Now, what's the challenge with insurers, right? The challenge with insurers is they take time to respond, especially in this bloody day and age. The time to respond when it comes to taking care of these things and, let's say, fixing up. Let's say you did have, let's say you had some damage in the roof. Like, let's say you had a water leak you didn't know about, and it rained a lot in the cyclone, and your roof fell in. Okay, I know someone on the call here had that happen to them, but they're not renting the property. So what happens? So you go, all right, well, I need that fixed ASAP. What happens to the tenant? The tenant's like, well, I can't live here. I'm moving out, or I'm not going to pay rent, right? So you've got some challenges, issues. And the issue is it takes time for this to be sorted by the insurer. Your property manager can go over there and sort it out straight away. What is the thing you need down here to be taken care of to make sure you can react or take care of things when it comes to risk in your property? And this helps with all sorts of things as well. Is you need a buffer. All right, buffer. Hey, Bob, straight onto it. Good on you, mate. Yeah, that's the way, Bob. All right, you need a buffer, folks. You get a good property manager. Absolutely vital in this circumstance. Yep, exactly, Tim. You're onto it, mate. You need a good property manager. You need the right insurance, but certainly you need a buffer. Now, I always say in your buffer, now buffers, you can have them sitting in your offset account on your home if you want. You've got to have some liquid cash. You've got to have cash available instantly to take care of your property. Okay, take care of the challenges, the problems that might pop up from time to time. Now, I say this, right? If the property is old, right? If the property is old, and so older than 10 years, right? 10 years, that property is going to need more cash available for you to fix things. And this is where I think, for me, newer properties are better than older ones for more passive, less cash consuming stuff. But that's depends on the property that you buy, of course. So I would say $10,000 to $15,000 in buffer for an older property. So what happens? the roof falls in, you got to get the damn thing fixed. It's not going to be cheap, folks. It's going to be 5, 10, 15 grand. You've got to get it done. Now, what's going to happen is you go to the insurer and they'll take care of it. Like, they will reimburse you or take care of it, but you got to get the damn thing fixed. Now, you got to do that properly, by the way. So you got to make sure you can call the insurer, get the property manager involved, take all the photos, make sure the person who fixes the roofs are, insurance approved, all that sort of stuff. But you have to do it because the tenant's going to move out and they'll stop paying rent. And then what happens is the insurer gets the shits. You lose rent, you try and claim it back. It can be months and months and months. We had a tornado last year here on the Gold Coast that tore a bunch of my stuff, my backyard apart, and we made an insurance claim. The damn thing took over a year, folks, to replace something. Now, it wasn't vital, wasn't life-threatening, so, they do prioritise things. But, shit, a year. 1 year, a whole year. It was actually a bit longer. I think it was like 13 months. Anyway, crazy. Anyway, there you go. So buffers. Let's not get distracted, Jason. Buffers. If the property's new, then I'm okay with 5 to 10K in a buffer for a new property. New properties. It's very unlikely you're going to get a water leak. And if you do, then you've got some warranty and other bits and pieces. But, that said, depends on how conservative you are. Buffers take care of things, folks. All right. They make sure that, and how do you create those buffers, right? So number one, from the outset, when you buy a property, you have the buffer sitting there. It's allocated for emergencies on that property. Over time, that buffer will grow because you put back into your offset account or the buffer account all of your cash flow and your tax deductions and all that sort of stuff, and that buffer account tends to grow. And from that buffer, eventually, after sort of 15 odd years, maybe a little earlier, maybe a little later, depending on the wear and tear on the property, that buffer account, which has some surplus, then that's where you renovate the property from as well. So it doesn't come out of your own cash or the equity in the property, or both, as you go. So anyway, there you go. Bit of a simple one this morning, but I think still pretty powerful when it comes to taking care of business, taking care of property. You've got to make sure you get your insurance down pat, good property manager, the right insurance, and make sure you've got some buffers sorted in your system so you can take care of things when they pop up. Anyway, that's it from me, folks, this morning. Wealth Coffee Chat done and dusted. I was down in Melbourne, actually, for a few days with business owners and sophisticated investors, so that was a bit of fun. I did avoid the cyclone, and I came back and the power came back on literally the day I came back here. So for those who had to battle it out, I feel for you, but I didn't have to. Anyway, there you go. All right, just dribbling now. That's it from me, folks. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us on Wealth Coffee Chat. Come back tomorrow. The team will be around as well, taking care of things on the morrow. I think it'll be the tax team tomorrow. Tax Thursdays or tax Tuesdays? I can't remember. Anyway, be good. Take care and see you again soon. Bye for now.
Thanks for watching another episode of Wealth Coffee Chat, folks. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you never miss a thing when we go live. Improve your portfolio and investing game, folks, with Wealth Coffee Chats live every morning at 8:10 each weekday. Make sure you join us. Previous episodes are also available wherever you get your podcasts, folks, as well as our other podcasts from the